On Central News tonight, two local amazing artists, shipping containers making a new market, Child Cancer Foundation's Mums Bums on Bikes, Kia ora, welcome to Central News for Thursday the 30th of October. I'm Hilary Entwistle. Planning is well underway for Hamilton's 150th birthday celebrations, happening in the Hamilton CBD on November the 22nd. Anne-Marie spoke with Tracy Wood from the Hamilton City Council and found out the plans for the family-friendly party in Hamilton CBD are very exciting.
It is really exciting. I'll be honest with you, this is a birthday party. This is about our city celebrating. It's about bringing families into the CBD and saying, have a party, celebrate our successes, celebrate what's happening now and what the future might look like.
What can we expect on the day? There's lots and lots and lots of things happening.
There are, and just to touch on a couple of things, I guess, you can see fashion shows. So we have a whole fashion hub where there will be various retailers doing fashion shows, and also Wintec graduate students displaying their work, which is really exciting. We've got the Classic Car Club involved, so you will see vehicles that you may not have seen before. We've got some vintage vehicles also in that zone, and some representatives of other vehicles, so you might see the odd penny farthing or something else.
Fantastic. And this is all happening around the CBD. You've closed it off to traffic and you're breaking the CBD up into little areas, aren't you?
We are pretty much. So the idea is that the entire CBD from Ward Street through to Hood Street is closed, becomes a pedestrian access, it becomes different avenues and areas to explore. So there is something for everybody. There is, as I said, the vehicles. We've got fashion, we've got markets, we've got kids' games and participatory spaces. We've also got Marn's sideshows coming in, so for all of those daredevils who have thought they might want to get a ride or two in, so that's also happening. So all of those things are right in the middle of town.
And of course, Hamilton is the heart of the Waikato, which is the heart of dairying. I understand you've got an ag zone.
We have, and we're quite excited by that. We're working with some great partners on this. So what we've got, again in the middle of our CBD, is a petting zoo, horses, cows, and line dancing and some music thrown in there. Lots of giveaways and free bits for the children to have, which is always a good thing at a party. And so we're really pleased to be working with Dairy NZ and Ag Research and Fonterra around that zone.
Who are just, stalwarts of the Waikato
Absolutely.
area. And petting zoos are so popular with both children and adults alike.
I was going to say, I can imagine there might be the odd parent sort of pushing their way in there, but it is nice. And again, it's nice to acknowledge what's made Hamilton so successful over the past 150 years, and that is, about our agricultural heritage, I guess.
For more information, go to hamilton150.co.nz. This month, showing in the Creative Tauranga Gallery are two well-established local artists who have worked closely together but have never actually exhibited together until now.
Timor and I have often talked about having a show together, and it's taken about 10 years, but we finally got round to it. So that's how the exhibition came about, and we thoroughly enjoy exhibiting together and really enjoyed the exhibition so far.
Timor, why is it taking you guys 10 years?
I guess we've just been busy doing other things. We've exhibited in group exhibitions before, but just never just the two of us. So it's just been part of the journey.
And now your work is actually quite spectacular. It's quite well known around the place because of your unusual perspective that you take. How would you explain your style?
I guess the word celebratory comes to mind. I like to think that I celebrate the life and the environment through my work, and the whole curved horizon bit comes from stretching a wide scene into a narrow space. So I guess that might describe it.
Is there a secret you have? Because I don't know how you do it, but somehow it still looks like it's all in perspective.
No, there's no secret there. I've invented my own perspective, I guess, and just go by feel. When I design the pieces, I just go by feel. And a few artistic tricks that you use, colour, perspective, and obviously lineal perspective using line in certain ways, but that's how it works for me anyway.
And Richard, how would you explain your style?
Well, a lot of people call it realist, and I suppose that's be the best description, but I normally just call myself a figurative or a representational artist, with the emphasis really for me not so much on the realism as opposed to just trying to create a sense of life in my paintings and what I do.
You paint a lot of ocean and boats and harbours and that kind of thing. Is that something that's quite poignant to you?
Well, I was born in Tauranga and been around the boating scene all my life, so I suppose it's something that's just come natural to me to do that. I do paint a wide range of subjects, and particularly for the couple of South Island galleries that I exhibit in, tend to see more of that type of work down south. So, but yes, I do enjoy the painting the water, and it's always boats and water. It can be a bit of a challenge sometimes.
So how did you actually start out as a painter in this industry?
Well, I've always, as long as I can remember, drawn and painted. Always was keen to go full-time or become a full-time artist, but you have to earn a crust along the way, and it took a long time. I've been full-time for about the last 12 years, so it takes a while to finally get there, and thoroughly enjoyed it since I have been painting full-time.
But how about you, Timor? How did you start out in this field?
Originally, I was trained as a photographer. I always loved painting, and then I decided to become an art teacher, which I didn't become. I ended up in the primary sector because at that time they needed male primary school teachers. But it was great because it was through teaching primary school kids that I my genre was born by teaching kids art. And so I always wanted to go full-time painting, so I think it's 15 years ago that I gave up teaching and just plunged into it full-time.
Did you find it difficult making a living as a full-time painter?
Yes, it was the first couple of years, I guess, but I was very fortunate. I had a good support systems in place, and it did take a while. And then, of course, Richard and I were just talking earlier that there have been times when sales aren't so good, but we also went through a period when almost everything we painted sold, within a few days. So it depends on the economy and this sort of thing.
Make sure you check out the exhibition at the Creative Tauranga Gallery. It's on until November the 10th. Coming up next on Central News, shipping containers are making their mark in Papamoa. Welcome back to Central News on TV Central. Shipping containers were used a lot after the Christchurch earthquake and now are being used to develop a new market in Papamoa.
The big goal is basically to create a destination in Papamoa, Mount Maunganui, something different. Like if you go to other places, there's nothing around where you can come here and see all the different shops. You can get a wine, walk around, beer. You got the cafe, we got pet shop, we got playground for families, giftware. There's all sorts. So I'm trying to create something that's different. Like my motto is "Save the world from boring." So I'm just trying to give it something different that families and everyone can come to.
Shipping containers, though, why shipping containers?
It's recycling. I worked overseas for 17 years building golf courses, and I found that we used to use a lot of them for offices, converted, and also for staff quarters for sleeping in on remote sites. And so when I came back here, it just seemed natural. It was something I'd already done, and I thought, well, and it gets a way to get around council rules and regulations as well.
So what kind of state was the place like when you came here?
Rubbish. It was shocking. Honestly, no, it really was. And you could ask anybody in Papamoa, people that came here were disappointed. They were trying hard, but it was run down. I bought it in a liquidation 6 months ago, and there was not one container here. Now there's 23 on site.
And you have done a lot of renovations already. What have you done?
We've done the cafe up, totally renovated that. Got new chefs in there. We've repainted everything inside the barn. We've upgraded all the nurseries. We've upgraded the irrigation. We've upgraded pretty much everything here. Or just even security and power and lighting, everything. You know, I've started again, basically.
So are you basing the container stuff like the container pop-up markets down in Christchurch after the earthquakes?
No, I'm not basing it on that, but I have been to them, and I'm using a little bit of those as an influence on me, but no, it wasn't a reason to do it because of that, not at all.
So you've got some tenants, as you said, some more tenants. Are you signing more on as they come?
Yeah, when I took over 6 months ago, there was 5 tenants here. Now there's 16. And I'm getting interest every other day. People wanting to come in here. So now it's a case of me trying to pick what's going to be right and what's going to fit in with the flavour of the place now.
So why did you see potential here? And basically just next door we've got a great big huge highway.
That was an accident. I'm a property developer. I've been developing property for a long time, and I was actually overseas because I do importing as a hobby, and I was going to put one little business here and then try and make it work and get better. It went in liquidation, and I basically said, right, I'll buy it and I'll do it, and it's just evolved, and then I've just taken off with it. It's just one of those things, and it's only stage 1. There is a stage 2 coming, and I'm working with council on it, and I've even had offers to do one up in Auckland, so it's getting ahead of itself. It's out of control.
So how are the tenants taking to the shipping container idea? Is it quite abnormal for them?
It's abnormal for most people, but it's becoming a bit of a trend, and I'm finding people like the differences. They like the different things. You know, it's working. You know, people aren't that adverse to change.
Are you going to start doing more second story containers? So if we drive past, we could possibly see this big towering container of Box Park.
Yeah, I am. As I say, I'm working with council on that. It's basically just different parts of consents. I'm actually designing homes for people, and I've got one guy who's doing a office block, which is going to be 5 stories high and 22 containers. So we're going to get that through, and then I'll start working with it over here, doing the same sort of thing. So yes, definitely. Stage 2.
So you're hoping basically that this will become quite an iconic place to visit in the Bay?
Absolutely. It's creating businesses, jobs, and a place to hang out. So I want it to be iconic. That's what it's about. Absolutely. Save the world from boring. That's my motto.
Every week in New Zealand, 3 families are told their child has cancer. The Child Cancer Foundation supports them through every step of that journey. And every year they need at least $6 million to continue to deliver their services. I caught up with our local Child Cancer Foundation to find out more.
Sadly, children are still being diagnosed with cancer. We've had several children diagnosed with cancer in the local area, so they're going through their frightening times, but thankfully we've got the family support coordinator right there for them to help them through.
So in November you have the annual golf tournament coming up. Tell me about that.
Yes, we've got the awesome Rotary of Otumoetai peeps. They are fantastic. They have supported us on an annual basis for several years now via their annual charity golf tournament. I've got the dates here. It's on the 16th of November, and it's going to be at the Omokoroa golf course, which is lovely. And people can either get into teams of 4 or they can go out as individuals, and it's $35 donation for each player, and loads of prizes and lots of fun, and it's a great day out, and we're very, very thankful that Otomotai Rotary are helping us out.
Can anybody play, or do we have to be pretty pro golf players?
Well, the word that I have is that people of all abilities, golfing abilities, are able to come out. And I'll be borrowing my mother's golf clubs, and going out for my annual golf hit as well.
And Mums on Bikes is coming out now. That sounds like quite a fun event.
Oh, Mums Bums on Bikes. It is. It's really a cool event. It's held every 2 years, and it's mostly made up of a lot of our Child Cancer Foundation mums. And this year they have challenged themselves to ride from Taupo all the way through to Tauranga, and it's going to be over the Labour weekend. And part of their challenge is they are challenging themselves to raise funds for the Child Cancer Foundation.
Now, most of us don't want to think about Christmas already, but you've got some gift ideas though.
Yes, well, Christmas is a hard time for our children and our families, and we like to make it that extra bit special. We've got a whole range of things that people can donate. People can go online and donate certain gifts so that we can give them to the children. It might be scholarships, personal development grants. We do gift baskets for our families each year, and gifts for the children. There's quite a large array of different things.
And is that the Christmas Courage campaign?
Yes, it is. Yes. And that's an online. The idea of that is where businesses can go online, donate a certain gift, and they will get a JPEG back stating what it is that they have gifted to a child and family. And they're able to share that with either their staff or their clients, and show that they have supported the children and their families via the Child Cancer Foundation.
Obviously these kids have it pretty tough, but is Christmas particularly hard for them?
Well, a lot of our kids may end up having to spend Christmas in hospital, and even if they're not in hospital, they, because their immune systems are lowered so much, they can't actually get out and amongst lots of people, because if they get the bugs that you and I don't have a problem with, then it's just asking for extra trouble that they just don't need.
So what does the money raised go towards?
Yeah, well, the thing that our families love the most, really appreciate the most, is having that family support person there. So they are there both here in Tauranga and also up in Auckland. And we've got our family place here in Tauranga and also up in Auckland. And everyone's journey is different, and the family support coordinator will help them out via either grocery vouchers, getting homemade meals for the family who's still at home while they're in hospital. We've done some unique things like sand pits for the kids to play in. Everybody's needs are different, but so we're there to actually fulfil whatever that family needs.
Visit childcancer.org.nz to find out more and how you can get involved with any of these events or to donate. Just ahead, Living with MS. Welcome back to Central News. Multiple sclerosis, otherwise known as MS, could be a virus and autoimmune reaction, or a combination. Little is known about what causes the chronic disease. There are approximately 4,000 people currently living with MS in New Zealand. Last year, the tour of Tauranga was held to raise funds for MS Bay of Plenty, and it's happening again this year.
So this is the Bay of Plenty Multiple Sclerosis Society's main fundraising event, a bike ride that shows off a lot of sunny Tauranga, hopefully in the morning, and there's a 25k run and a 12k run just to raise money for the society and the awareness of multiple sclerosis.
Will the planned route be the same as last year's?
It will essentially be the same with the 25k course, however we are doing it on the reverse, so this year on the way home it'll be a lot easier for the downward slopes, and we've thrown in the 12k course as well, so if you're not so keen on the long journey, and also family friendly.
Well, that is great news for those of us who are slightly unfit. Would you encourage some training though?
I'd probably be naughty if I said no, so maybe just some warm-ups prior to the event, just so that you're not so sore and tired for a few days afterwards.
This isn't just about jumping on your bike and pedalling around, it is all for a good cause. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, so it's just a fun event first and foremost. We just want people out there enjoying the sunny morning, hopefully, and just enjoying the ride, the scenic views and what have you. The money will be coming into the society and used to help our members, their families, carers and the wider community with the ongoing costs. Obviously it's quite expensive to help our members out, so any little bit helps.
Cheryl, what is multiple sclerosis and what kind of effect does it have on the body?
Multiple sclerosis is a disorder of the central nervous system, and it's not known why the body turns on itself, but it creates plaques on the brain through the myelin sheathing being eaten away, and depending where those plaques form on the brain as to what symptoms people get. So there's a whole variety and it's very varied.
Are there different types of MS, as you mentioned, and how quickly does each one progress?
Well, depending, it's not a disease that has a set course where you start here and finish there. It's different for everybody, as I say, depending on where the plaques are on the brain or the lesions. So some people have relapsing remitting, which is where they'll have an attack and then come back to the baseline with very little or no level of disability, whereas other people will have primary progressive, which is where they just have a steady decline all the way. So the relapsing remitting, they could have, quite a few years. And with the new drugs that are being released, we're hoping that that's going to push it out even further.
Is there much research going into MS and treatments?
There's a lot of research, there's a lot of stem cell research, there's a lot of drug research and a lot of natural research going on in the way of things like mindfulness training and exercise and diet and lifestyle.
You said mindfulness therapy. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Okay, so mindfulness is a way of thinking and being that improves quality of life. So it's also a way of managing pain and some of those symptoms that are not so nice to focus on. So it's about being able to have a different way of framing and looking at what is happening for you.
If you'd like to get on your bike and take a tour of Tauranga, it is on Sunday the 9th of November. To register, visit touroftauranga.co.nz. Now for the weather for Friday. Looking to the marine forecast now. That is Central News for today. Like us on Facebook, centralnews.tv, or email us news@tvcentral.co.nz. Join me again tomorrow night for more stories from the Bay of Plenty and the Waikato. I'm Hilary Entwistle. I hope you have a lovely evening.
This has been an Alpha Media production, a division of Television Media Group.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.